All right, we're going to try this a second time. My apologies. The audio apparently was not working. We're going to start today focusing on our, we're going to focus on our second unit, excuse me, our third unit of instruction here. We have, this is our third and final evening together before we meet on campus. And I do hope that the times that we have spent together have been helpful and useful to you across the last 3 weeks. We are going to spend some time quickly reviewing. Last week we focused on how PE teachers use technology. We looked at how there are different rates in which certain things are adopted and integrated within society. That bell curve shows the variation of how early adopters and innovators transition and move new ideas forward into the realm of teaching and learning and innovation within society. Those on the far left really feel comfortable taking risk and find excitement in exploring these newest and the greatest ideas. On the opposite end of the spectrum, the laggards, those people who feel less confident and less comfortable with new ideas, tend to only adopt new ideas and innovation when forced to or mandated that they must. Our readings talked a bit about PE teachers' technology use and the perceived barriers. First and second order barriers were articulated and described, some of which are easier to change than others. The first order barriers that we read about and talked about were the ones that truly were easier to change, whether it was access or support or knowledge of the devices or tools. Second order barriers reported by teachers are often more challenging to adjust. Those are more internal. The attitude towards technology, the belief about its use or its value, that tends to take more time. Neither set of barriers are insignificant. Both, of course, play legitimate roles in how we experience our daily lives, how we experience teaching and potential innovation that might come our way. Third and finally, last week we talked about occupational socialization as a cycle that helps us to maybe understand why or why not teachers are using technology based on what they experienced as K-12 students during their apprenticeship of observation. Today we're going to talk about and explore different samples and examples of technology integration, of how PE teachers have dreamed up the use of technology and have implemented this within their classrooms. The outline for today is going to focus around 3 different categories. Essentially, these are functions of teaching that all of us experience: planning and delivery of our lessons, assessment of student learning, and then different ways that we network or develop ourselves as professionals. Now, these 3 categories align with the ISTE standards. They're not perfectly transparent, where ISTE does not label their standards for teachers and teacher use with this terminology. But if you look closely, it's my opinion that really these are the three areas that jump out of how ISTE and other professional organizations are trying to encourage and support teachers in using technology. So we're going to walk through some different ideas on how technologies that I've placed into these categories could be used. I do want to caution our discussion, however, that these are just ideas, and simply because certain technologies are presented within these categories does not mean that that device couldn't be used for another purpose. This is really just kind of a surveying or a sampling of different ideas to get us start to think about the pedagogy of utilizing tools to enhance what it is we're doing. We'll wrap up our evening tonight talking about our Unit 3 readings and blogs. And finally, I'll introduce your Map My research assignment that is that you can prepare between now and when you come on campus. Okay, so the first category that we're going to look at is lesson planning and content delivery. There are 4 different technologies kind of bullet pointed out there. This is by no means a suggestion, as I mentioned, that there aren't other devices that could very well be used to support this, but just some ideas as we navigate together. The first is different web-based resources. We might not necessarily think about all of the resources that are available online for us as teachers. Whether it's for planning and helping us to understand concepts before we teach them, or if it's possibly related to delivering it and showing the students using different web sources that they can actually engage with. One that we've got 4 bullet points here, some videos, some tutorials, some health and nutrition interactive sites, and then some resources that we could possibly use to help us organize ourselves as we plan or deliver. Real quick, I just want to showcase a few of these. Some of you may be very well versed in all of the web-based resources that are available that you use. The Khan Academy, just so some of you who maybe aren't familiar, the Khan Academy is this fantastic resource. It's basically this online tutorial that goes through subjects ranging from math to algebra and philosophy. There are Khan Academy videos that are science-based. This is the website if you happen to visit it. Khan Academy is basically an online library of web tutorials. And if you click down the Learn column, you'll see that there's math, science, economics, arts and humanities, computing. And if you hold your cursor over there, any of those, you'll see that the subjects are presented in chronological order. You'll also see that there are grade levels of that subject area. Science, a variety of different tutorials, economics, humanities, computing. And the reason that I bring this to our attention is for those of us who maybe teach secondary or high school PE, and we possibly want to incorporate some more advanced skills or advanced concepts into our PE lessons, and we want to do some interdisciplinary teaching. this Khan Academy has videos on all of these topics that very well could be applied to health and PE. And whether it's for you as an educator to kind of beef up a little bit on some of these topics before you go into a lesson, or if you want the students to beef up on some of this before. If you click further into the website, I just clicked onto one-dimensional motion. You'll notice that there are these videos that are posted from introductory to more advanced topics. Acceleration might be a topic, kinematic formulas and projectile motion. I think the sky's the limit in regards to these videos. They range anywhere from 10 to minutes beyond, and could be a neat little resource to help you plan or deliver your content. Another little video here, another little resource here that's ESPN Sports Science that I'll just share with you. I won't necessarily have us watch the video because that won't make a lot of sense. It won't make a lot of sense for me to show you this particular video when you might not be able to hear it very well, but I'm going to open this video, open this web page for you real quick just to show you. It'll be on mute, so you won't get the full effect, but I'll kind of narrate real briefly here. Okay, so this is just a short clip of ESPN's Sports Science. Some of you who are sports fanatics may very well be familiar with this or have watched things like this before. If you're teaching concepts, again, that you, like archery in this example, want to incorporate some more robust concepts like force and torque and such, you might be able to capture some of your students' attention if you use maybe some of these clips as a advanced organizer, if you've got a projector and a connection in your classroom, just to kind of reinforce some of the things that you're teaching, and quite possibly have them try some of these challenges that Brady Ellison or other professional athletes go through on sports science, and have them do some experiments with target practice at such a distance and how much force and so forth. So that might be another kind of video-based resource that you might wish to explore. TED Talks, for those of you who may or may not know about TED Talks, they're just short 4 or 5 minutes, sometimes longer, videos of people sharing ideas worth sharing. And TED Talks has a lot of ideas. Sometimes we talk about using, or teachers have talked about using kind of a TED Talks unit, where whether it's in health class and students are given a particular topic and they have to research, have ideas, have rationale, and basically have to make a case for whatever topic that you've been assigned or that they've selected. And they have to kind of stand on a soapbox for a little while to present their ideas and the facts that they have collected. So TED Talks could maybe give you some ideas, either planning a unit, having students do TED Talks, or just to further your ideas about topics from education to other social issues, or kind of just fun topics that have been posted on the TED Talks webpage. There are tutorials that are online. Many of you probably are very aware of some of these. Fitness for Life is a web-based resource. As it loads up here, I'm going to pull it over just to give you a bit of a chance to look at the site. It's fitnessforlife.org. This is the middle school section for those of you who teach middle school. Basically, Fitness for Life can either walk students or teachers through health and fitness related concepts. It's kind of like an online textbook, and gives you vocabulary about, I'm not even sure what this topic is here, warm-ups and cool-downs if you want them to explore some of this. Maybe you have a website and you want to link to some of this information. Quite possibly, Chapter 1, Topic 1.8 is Newton's Laws of Motion. Heck, you could even link this to some of the Khan Academy resources if you wanted to. But Fitness for Life, in essence, is giving you, the teacher, and making student resources available to really incorporate fitness and fitness-related concepts into your PE curriculum. And if I'm correct, at least a portion of these materials are all online for free. You might have to purchase if you want some other printed materials, quite possibly. Take Charge, Be Healthy is an online resource that is free to teachers within West Virginia. It is it's a website that has 3 different modules: a health, a nutrition, and a physical activity module. They're all designed to help teach concepts within those 3 areas. Teachers would sign up for free. Teachers would then have an account, which you can then assign students usernames and passwords. And then in your health class or as a supplement to PE, the students can log into Take Charge, Be Healthy and walk through those modules. And it's actually pretty neat because they do some pre-assessment, some attitude evaluations. They go through the modules and learn about different concepts and components of PE, or physical activity, health, and nutrition, and then they have to do pre and post tests about what they learned. You can have them log their physical activity, and there's some different features of Take Charge that's actually pretty neat. Again, Take Charge is another free resource. Healthy or nutrition interactive websites, for those of you who want to explore some of these sites. Some of them are kind of game-like. Others allow you to put in your dietary intake and kind of calculate energy expenditure. Some of these, like Anatomy Arcade and BBC Interactive Body, are kind of study guide games of different muscular, skeletal, or different systems of the body. But there's a variety, many more resources that just some exploration you can find. Another idea related to planning and delivery, as far as our function of teaching, there's something called web quests, or otherwise known as interactive PowerPoint. Basically, a web quest has been used in and outside of PE, pretty common within general education, but it's a teacher-created mission that prompts students to find information and learn about more topics. Typically, students use pre-identified websites or places online to find information or create or find information or make informed decisions. So one of the samples here, a teacher made this web quest, which introduces the task of having the students going on a camping trip. And she basically gives them some nutrition requirements or responsibilities, that it's going to be a weekend-long trip. Them within their team will have to be in charge of the food for the weekend. So they have to pick out healthy meals, they have to go shopping, they have to prepare meals for this camping trip, which is a fictitious experience. And then they would have to present their findings to their group. So what the teacher did is she created this website. She established what different tasks were, and if you go onto this website or various websites, you'll notice that it's a very prescribed set of tasks. The teacher really has done a lot to put into this unit to help the students step by step walk through developing and experiencing this information. So if you kind of read through here, she gives the specifics of the scenario, the camping trip, and then she broke it into 5 days. So this health teacher or this PE teacher has 5 different days of activities here for the students. It's a little bit dated because it has the mypyramid.gov, but on day 1, it has what activities the students would have to accomplish in a step-by-step pattern, what products they would have to turn in at the end of the day. They also, then step 2, what do they have to do, 3, day 4, and day 5. And then also, with this idea, she's also incorporated all of the websites as hyperlinks that the students would have to go to experience and complete the tasks. So a web quest can very well provide students a neat experience. I know that there were some web quests not only plan kind of a camping trip and nutrition. Sometimes students had to do, I've had teachers create opportunities for students to say, okay, I want you to create a web quest or basically an internet site to teach about all that you've learned, to describe all that you've learned about rock climbing or mountain biking or something else. So instead of necessarily having them go through a web quest, the teachers have given the students the freedom to explore, to collect new information, and either put that information into a PowerPoint where they would have to present out to their peers what they've learned in class and beyond, but also some teachers have had students do that online, so to create a website actually. Different examples of non-web questy activities, but more interactive PowerPoints. One of the a group of students here at WVU made a interactive PowerPoint to teach about a new content so that they were going to have the students explore. So as an introduction to golf, they have different links to different chapters within the PowerPoint, and certain areas of the screen were locked so the children can't click anywhere but the chapters or the areas that are hyperlinked. The students would go through the chapters of the PowerPoint that was created. They would have different activities or they'd have to learn about or explore the information. And then after they'd gone through all of the chapters, the students would just do a short quiz that they would then report their how many out of 5 or how many out of 10 they got correct. Another sample here, we had a student teacher who had students who were in teams, and they used a sport education unit or a sport education model. It was a floor hockey unit, and instead, because the gymnasium was a little bit smaller, there were some times where the students had to sit out, or the student groups had to sit out. So what the student teacher did is that she had the children come up with plays, and then they did it paper pencil first, and then they had to make a PowerPoint. And so this that you're watching is actually the PowerPoint that the middle school students created. They had to describe what the object of the play was. They had to articulate what was going to be happening. And you'll notice on the next slide, their animation is written out here in the narrative. So this narrative is describing what we will see on the next slide. So the students created this PowerPoint slide. They put in the animation by using different drawing functions. They had some PE class time to practice these plays. That crazy one in the back was to suggest that the students in the defense could do whatever they wanted. And then they had time to actually practice these plays in game-like situations. So the next slide, they had to do some basic statistical descriptive statistics of how effective their particular play was. So then they had to report how successful that particular play was in tournament, what they would do if they got to do it again, and what made their interactive PowerPoint or their play successful or not. There are different web-based platforms like Powtoons or Prezi. I'll just show you the Powtoons sample. This was another one made by our undergraduate students here at WVU to present information that the students would watch maybe as a precursor to an event or to a unit. So it was getting close to the Olympics, and the student teachers wanted to introduce the decathlon to their K-12 students. So they made this Powtoons, basically an interactive PowerPoint. It's have these fun animations. It's a little bit flashier. You can embed video, and then it just plays on its own. So as the students would then watch or experience this, maybe they would rotate over to a station to explore, to experience that PowerPoint or that method of sharing or reinforcing information. Moving along a little bit here, just so that we have time for all of our important topics here. Interactive, or I should say active gaming, is something that a few of you have actually described a desire to become PE geeks with. And when you have time, I'd love for you to go to this Active Gaming in the News link. It's a short news clip of a organization in the state of Pennsylvania that has brought active gaming into kind of a storefront where parents can take their students after school or in the summer or on holidays and participate in active games like Connect and DDR and some of the other more advanced extra games instead of going to the mall or other kind of recreational activities. Some of the, for those of us that don't have big budgets to do Connect or Xbox or even Hop Sports, which is a large full class interactive active gaming system, there are other resources online like Adventure to Fitness or YouTube or GeoFitness that all can either supplement your instruction as an introduction or supplement your unit, for instance, like a dance unit. I've seen teachers use Adventure to Fitness, which is a free web-based resource where you can find the clips online. In elementary schools, they've used that as their ASAP or their instant activity with their students. So they have Adventure to Fitness, which is like a 3, 4, even longer minute clip. And as the introductory activity, the students assemble. Everyone is doing it in their own space, and they follow the patterns of movement that are described on the screen. Right? So teacher can make sure that students are all in attendance. Teacher can make sure that the classroom is set up. She can be giving individual feedback. He can move around the gymnasium and kind of build some rapport with the students, but not be the one who's in the front delivering the content during that instant activity. I've also had some teachers who set up active gaming systems in either the hallway or an adjacent classroom. And this was a middle school teacher. She used that for an incentive to get out of the locker room faster. So when students she was finding that they really enjoyed the active gaming systems, but they weren't getting out of the locker room fast enough. So the first 5 students out of the locker room, dressed and ready to go, would get to go to the interaction room where they would do active gaming. The remaining portion of the students would still do a warm-up in the gymnasium, but it would be maybe a dynamic stretching activity or a walk-jog activity. So she used active gaming as a means of kind of a reward. One last idea. I have had some teachers describe using active gaming to supplement some strategy or gameplay or knowledge building. For instance, several of the team sport games like Madden football or some of the hockey games have really robust playbooks. And I've talked to several teachers who really do a neat job of allowing the students, maybe middle and secondary, to make their virtual teams and try out some of the plays virtually or in this active gaming setting, and then try to make those plays come to life with their actual teams and do some analysis of what worked or what didn't work in plays or more advanced maybe strategies or gameplay that they hadn't been exposed to or tried before. The next type of technology is we're going to share real briefly is land navigation or using different GPS handheld units. 2 of the master students from last year did a phenomenal action research project. One was up near Happy Valley, and the other was over in Virginia, I believe. They were able to get GPS units and then teach geocaching to their upper elementary students. Really, it's high-tech land navigation. So instead of using orienteering compasses, basically it's teaching how to use digital devices to navigate around your gymnasium, around your classroom, around your school grounds, or even adjacent community parks. Geocaching basically is a treasure hunt, and it's a worldwide treasure hunt where different coordinates are associated with containers or hidden items that people from all over the world have access to participate in this treasure hunt. If in fact they go to the geocaching.com website, they can sign up for free, get those coordinates, and wherever you are in the world, if you are in London, or if you are in France, or if you're in Morgantown, West Virginia, there have been caches placed around the cities and around rural areas, and finding the caches can be very fun. You can also plant caches around your school building and teach students about reading maps and reading using GPS and how global positioning can play into understanding where you are in the world and how to get from point A to point B. All right, transitioning to our second function of teaching, which is going to be kind of looking at assessing student learning or evaluating student learning. When we think about assessment, sometimes we think about artifacts and having artifacts in which we can see and critique and maybe complete a rubric to evaluate the quality of. We can also think about the process of certain things and how assessment doesn't only have to be pre-post, but assessment can also be the process in which something occurs, or the process in which we experience content and as we go through this. So here are several that we're going to talk about today. Use of digital videos. I've seen some really neat reference clips where teachers create videos to show students how to actually do a skill or do a dance. I've got one that I'll show you in a moment. But we can also have students create reference clips. So as they've gone through a unit of instruction, why not have them create a video that teaches somebody else how to perform a concept or perform a skill? There's really no reason why we can't ask them to help us create a video for the future, or better yet, help us create a video to understand, do they know the concepts? We can evaluate that final product of their reference clips. We can also use video to provide feedback to learners. I think this was alluded to in some previous conversations we've had, where there are so many fantastic apps right now. One is Coach My Video, where teachers can take video of students, point out or draw on the screen to identify limitations, errors that the students are making, and then videotape the skill again and look at the difference or the improvement from when it was first found, when it was first performed, to when it was performed a second time or after practice. One of the places where I've seen this really neat was actually in a cup stacking unit. The teacher set out a flip video camera at the time and had it on a small stand, and the student performed the cup stacking in front of the video, stopped the video, filled out a worksheet to self-assess. Did I perform all of the critical elements? Then they watched the video and filled out that worksheet again and found that, in fact, what they thought they had done, they actually hadn't done entirely. So they then made a goal statement. Based on what I've just watched, I realized that I'm not doing XYZ critical element. So in my practice, I'm going to really focus on. And then they had several days of practice, or several practice trials, and then they videotaped it again and followed that same procedure to look for improvements. And they actually documented, just on a small worksheet, how much improvement they had made or how much they hadn't made. But the Coach My Video app is pretty amazing. We've also seen some pretty neat group projects where students have to either come up with a dance routine or the virtual playbook, which we saw an example using interactive PowerPoint, but there's really no reason why they couldn't come up with several plays and then videotape themselves doing it. Maybe use iMovie or Windows Live Movie Maker to submit a virtual playbook. It's amazing. I spoke to a health educator down in the southern part of West Virginia, and he has his fourth graders use iMovie on their iPads. And he showed me several of the videos that they had created, and it was really amazing. I kind of thought about how difficult it would be for a fourth grade group of children to create a video, and when you look at the tools, he had them create videos that were summarizing the unit that they had just learned. So it was kind of a checking for understanding. So they had to introduce the unit and to take a video of themselves. They had to clip that to some pictures that they had maybe found online, some slides that indicated some highlighted points of the unit, and then submit that to Mr. Bowling for grading. And it was a really neat project, and some of the videos turned out pretty neat. This is a reference clip that one of our undergraduate students made to teach a line dance. We'll just watch a little bit here. There's actually music that is embedded within here, and they basically did this clip 2 to 3 times and put captions on top of it and sped it up, slowed it down, and then used this during student teaching as an instructional tool when delivering some line dance. Digital photography, we think maybe using photography in PE is not that fancy or not that cool, because it's a very simple, in a lot of cases, a simple idea where it's kind of a point and shoot type of activity. A lot of mobile devices, the students know how to use cameras. The iPads have built-in cameras. A lot of laptops now have built-in cameras. And so whether you have a point-and-shoot device, like our picture down below, that you could have the students take outside, or if you have a mobile device that they use, or if you want to loan them if you have iPads or other tablets. But how they've been implemented, there's some bullet points here. One of the neat things that I've seen, this is maybe more in health class, where students are required to find 10 images, and it might be about a particular topic. For instance, maybe that topic in health class was drug abuse or making healthy eating choices. And they had to pick 10 images that they found online, and the presentation was timed so that there was only 20 seconds per image. And after the students found the images, they had to write a script. And the script could literally be no longer than 20 seconds per image. And they had to script out and then present their presentation. The 20 seconds per page, basically that turns into 2.5 minutes or less for presentation for a middle school student. But it does become kind of a challenge because you have to find some really great images or take them. We've talked about, or I've seen some teachers use digital photography as a means of finding concepts, kind of as a scavenger hunt. Maybe that's during geocaching, where they have to geocache to a particular location and take a photo of themselves doing something at a particular location. It might be a scavenger hunt of concepts within PE, where they are trying to find good sportsmanship, or they're trying to find zone defense during tournament play. Other ideas down below here, sport journalist. I've had some neat scouting where students within tournament play possibly have to try to snap pictures of the best play of the day, or sportsmanship, or even scouting report, and then report on the team that's in the lead or whatnot. This capture a concept is kind of an interesting idea. It was a photo challenge, and it was a public challenge, so what we're seeing here is on a website called Mashable. But you'll notice that there's a variety of different pictures, but the idea is they had to take a picture that represented themselves, and it took, in a lot of cases, some creative thinking about who I am and what explains me in one picture or in one snapshot. And if students were asked to do that from the standpoint of why am I physically active, or what motivates me to be physically active, and capture that in one image, that could kind of lend some insight into the value of physical activity. When we think about assessment and evaluation, sometimes we also think about monitoring devices, whether that's physical activity monitoring devices or if it is heart rate monitors. There are a plethora of different monitoring devices. Some of the ways that one could decide relates to these bulleted points, whether it's appropriate, if it aligns with your goals, ease of use, or affordability. Some of the ways that teachers have used different activity monitors to log steps or active time across different PE units. And the students have had to kind of compare or contrast the benefits of individual sports to team sports, lifetime or leisure physical activities. Students have also been asked to monitor or track maybe how many steps they've accumulated during PE, or if they have accumulated the recommended minutes of physical activity within the school day, or possibly on days where they have PE versus days where they don't have PE. Some of the devices like the Fitbit or the Map My Run app can be a little bit more individualized. I worked in a school in the Midwest where we were able to have an elective physical education class. We called it 25th hour PE. In 25th hour PE, students had to have a particular, they had to kind of apply to be in this class because it had a lot of freedoms and flexibilities and responsibilities. Each student in that class was issued a heart rate monitor, and their requirement for the class was to, at the end of each week, download their heart rate monitor in the physical education office and document that they had acquired at least 60 minutes of MVPA or in their target heart rate zone each day of that week. Now they could do it in any way. If they were athletes, they could capture that data during a practice. If they were non-athletes but just competitive athletes or runners, or if they were participating in some recreational leagues, it didn't matter necessarily how they got their activity, as long as at the end of each week they would come in on Fridays and they would download their heart rate data. They would set a goal for their next week. We had them develop some of their fitness plans, and it was very, very, very individualized. There was probably about 30 students in the entire high school that elected to participate in 25th hour PE during our first year. But by doing that, if we would have had devices or technologies like the Fitbit or some of the Garmin GPS devices, we could have elected to do some community activities. Fitbit now allows you to have some kind of online networking systems where you can share various physical activity stats, where you've been, not necessarily where you've been, but how long you've been active during the day, and if you want to compete or challenge one another or encourage one another, that's something that you can do as well with the online module of Fitbit. Some of the other systems like Nike Plus also does that. Fuel Band, I do believe that Nike allows individuals to track and monitor and encourage classmates or fellow exercisers by using some of those devices. Heart rate monitoring is another relatively popular mode to evaluate student learning or student performance within PE. The school district that I've worked in, we used polar heart rate monitors. There are a variety of other heart rate monitoring tools and products that are fantastic. We would always start, actually within the 4th grade was our introductory, and then we utilized heart rate monitors throughout middle school and secondary as well. And we always taught and really focused on, what is your target heart rate zone, and where do you need to be exercising to get the most benefit out of your time being active. And we would do activities similar to the worksheet that's listed here on the screen, which they would explore different types of activities, different intensities, and try to estimate or guess how long they would be in their target zone, if they would be above, if they would be below. We would challenge the students to either predict how many minutes they were going to be in their target zone during a particular class period, or set a goal. And it gave that immediate feedback, so the students who were doing the mile run or the pacer, when they started to understand that they could do the mile run and do the pacer within their target heart rate zone and not feel compelled or pressured to go as fast as everyone else in the class, but to maintain the pace that was healthy and suited for them. It was amazing how our fitness scores actually increased over several semesters when students really started to understand and have that immediate feedback from the heart rate monitoring device that could allow them to progress and make some individual progress. The last device, or the last software we'll talk about here real quick, is fitness reporting software. So FitnessGram is now web-based, and it's starting to become very accessible and affordable. Human Kinetics is kind of the structural backdrop of FitnessGram online, and you can have an app on your phone or your iPad or your iPod. You can upload fitness scores using that app. You can generate fantastic reports. I'll bring some to class when we're together here on campus, comparing pre, post. You can also compare longitudinal, so if you have a child in 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, and then 7th grade, you can compare their progress across those years on a single report, send it home to mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, and that report is generated from the software. It can be emailed, it can be printed. It also has tips that have been individualized for that child based upon if they have fallen inside or outside that healthy fitness zone for that fitness activity. You can also do some really neat class summary reports for 4th graders, for boys, or for girls, or for a homeroom. It is actually very easy to set up. So fitness assessment, which is mandated for teachers in West Virginia. The use of FitnessGram has been becoming more prevalent within our counties. So the counties are actually purchasing FitnessGram for all of the schools to allow for a simpler tracking and communication to parents related to their child's fitness levels. One of the neat things that I'll say before this is that there are also student reports. So you can generate student reports where there's opportunities for children to write goals about their fitness levels and see the progress that they either have made or could make based upon those goals. I'm required to submit a biannual report to our county related to a school physical education program that I have the privilege to work with our PE teachers. And it's amazing to be able to have the data to suggest that students are in fact improving in certain fitness areas when teachers change their behaviors or change their modes of operation. So when in fact students in the 4th grade are demonstrating proficiency, I should say deficiencies in fitness, where only 50% or of the children in those classes are meeting the healthy fitness zone, then the next year, 5th grade, those areas become a priority. So if it's abdominal strength, that only 50% of the children are meeting the criteria for being within the healthy fitness zone in 4th grade, then in 5th grade, we start to focus a bit more heavily on core strength and activities that we can incorporate that into our regular units, but maybe during our instant activities or maybe during our some of our closure activities, we have muscular strength or muscular endurance related focus to try to encourage and teach and support those fitness areas that have been identified as deficiencies. The third and final teaching function that we'll talk about this evening, this has been a lot of information, professional development, networking, and advocating for our programs. One of your classmates posted in his blog some of the advocacy that he has had to do within his district to communicate how important physical education is in the lives of the children. But maybe even more to the basic level is what goes on in the gymnasium. And to no fault of our professional colleagues, some of them experienced PE programs that were subpar. Maybe some people experienced physical education programs that borderlined on humiliating or abusive, and that's so unfortunate because much of what you guys are doing now in your classrooms looks nothing like what bad PE can look like. And for those of us who experience quality PE and have that in our minds, and we deliver quality PE, because we're consumed by it and we're putting so much energy into it, we don't always think that we need to tell other people or justify what it is we're doing because they should just know and respect us. But there are some neat opportunities to use blogs, to use podcasts, and different social media sites to kind of debunk or defunk some of the things that are thought about PE. And if we use websites, if we blog, if we get into social media, we really can communicate with our parents, our community, even our students, beyond what reach we possibly could have had before. I've seen some teachers do some really neat things. This link here, Mr. Kironsky, he's in Glenview, Illinois. He uses his PE middle school wellness education page to post different units. So he's got his 3 weeks of World Games and different ideas and lesson ideas. This is juggling. Yes, juggling. Benefits of juggling, some different ideas and suggestions on how to juggle. If we go back, he has some creative games, some fitness ideas. Now, if in fact we were a parent of this teacher and we were to be able to go in and see some of the things that are going on, I might think, what do you mean, life skills? There's life skills going on in PE? Oh, dance? Dance didn't look like that when I was going through high school or middle school. And just opening up our parents' eyes to what is happening. So if in fact we can use blogs or develop class websites, I'll share with us some more class PE blogs that have been developed by fantastic teachers. Some teachers have used blogs to free services, free websites like Weebly or Blogger to post their scope and sequence, some lesson samples, to take pictures of what's going on in their gym and post that for parents to see and view, post their newsletters that they're creating. Teachers have also allowed students to either create or use blogs. One of the coolest things that I've seen, some teachers have linked their Twitter feeds to their websites, and when students see, usually the Twitter post or the tweet, I should say, has some sort of a challenge, or it's a question of the day. And when students access that tweet, if they come into the gymnasium and are able to give either the correct answer, the teacher then gives them either extra points, or they get to be leader for the day, or some other benefit that's valued within the classroom. But one of the things that's been neat is there have been some teachers who have actually allowed students to create sub-pages within their blogs or websites where they do like sport journalists. So if it's a sport education unit, or if there's a tournament play going on, maybe there's a sport journalist, and he or she has to take pictures, write articles, interview, submit editorials about the tournament and about what is going on. I've also seen another teacher use blogs to post what's going to be happening the next day. So within like a sport education unit, if there are students who have roles that they would be assigned in upcoming days, the teacher posts those roles and what the students will be doing from practice plans, and the coaches and assistant coaches and fitness trainers have to get onto the blog or the website in advance or during the warm-up period of class to learn about what they are going to do and what they're going to be accountable for that particular day. Podcasting is another mechanism that we could use to promote ourselves or what it is that we're doing. PSAs, which are probably, for the most of us who are older, remember the PSAs on television, the commercials about, this is your brain on drugs. And it was a really short, catching, attention-getting message that you couldn't forget. Maybe we create PSAs about PE and broadcast those across the PA system from the main office. Maybe we do a video PSA or a video podcast about what tournament's coming up, or what sporting event is happening in the community, or a public service announcement about different community rec leagues that are going to be going on, and how PE is connecting to the rec leagues, and what you'll be learning in PE you can also do in rec, or maybe there's after school or before school physical activity options. Whatever they are, we can create short sound bites. My iPhone has a voice memo function that's so easy to use. I could convert that, post that on my web page, send that out as a sound bite to my parents on my email listserv, or EduBlog, or Edmodo, or any other system that you can communicate with parents. We could even have students create public service announcements. A fantastic project that I've seen. It was during the spring, and it was Jump Rope for Heart season. And man, this PE teacher who typically earns about $200 for Jump Rope for Heart said, you know what, let's really get into this. So what she did was she focused a portion of her PE class on teaching about heart health, and used the American Heart Association resources and materials that had been sent to her for signing up for Jumps for Heart, and had the students work in group to create 30-second promotional clips about Jumps for Heart and why heart health. And then she had them go to the PA, go to the school secretary, who allowed the students each day in a 2-week increment coming up to the event, do their public service announcements over the PA system. And that year, not only did the children better understand about heart health and about the benefits of jump rope and cardiovascular and aerobic activities, they also raised over $800 for their school, which was a really cool thing to see happen. There are idea sharing podcasts that could possibly be helpful for you as a physical educator to learn about new ideas. PE Links for You has certain podcasts. The PE Geeks website that we talked about during week 1 has a plethora of podcasts that you might be able to learn a little something and stay connected with the profession. And then the last kind of category, which may be a little bit more focused on either advocating for your program, which would be storytelling or sharing different experiences. You could potentially create a little short sound bit about your life as a PE teacher, as corny as it might sound. Post that on your blog or website for parents and teachers to see. You could also storytell what happens in PE class. So less about public service announcement, but more along taking your stakeholders, your parents, your community members, on a journey of what it would be like to be a student within your PE class. And really advocating what it is you're doing that's unique, what is innovative, what do the students get to experience. You could even have the students do that. What does it feel like to be a middle school PE student? What does it feel like to be a 5th grader who's getting ready to go up to 6th grade? And what are you looking forward to? Maybe if we look at the NASP standards, maybe we could have students tell a story or an experience about a time where they helped somebody get motivated to participate in physical activity or sport. Why are you physically active? And why should other people be physically active? And use it kind of from a story perspective. StoryCorps is a really neat National Public Radio initiative. If you have a chance, go on and peruse through StoryCorps. It just captures the authentic experience of being human/American, if you would say. It's basically American folk art. And storytelling could be a neat way to capture some ideas from students about what it means to be active or what it means to be living in their shoes right now as a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old. And pressures that they feel to be active or fit. Anyways, you get the idea. The last two here, desktop publishing. Sometimes we don't necessarily think about desktop publishing or using basic functions of and tools to be all that innovative, but if we want to advocate or network or create worksheets even that can be used by students, sometimes a very, very simple Microsoft Publishing has templates. Again, it can allow us to organize our thoughts for posters that would want to demonstrate what a station would be, newsletters, brochures that would promote what's going on in our classroom. Man, I've seen some really cool success postcards or awards to go home to students, and it's amazing how many of you, I'm sure, know when you send a positive note home to mom and dad about what Johnny did. My grandma always says you catch more flies with sugar than vinegar, and just making that attempt to really highlight and promote positive things, whether it's character or whether it is teamwork or whether it's performance. Whether you could also use desktop publishing to generate student worksheets. Had a really neat partner project the PE teacher partnered with the art instructor and the history and business instructors, and it was a 9th, 10th grade. And what they did is they had to, during a particular sports competition or a sports season, the teams had to come up with their logos. They had to generate team rules. They had to promote what, and basically decide as a class what they were going to do within this tournament. And the teams then had to, they worked with their art instructor to create the logos. They did some graphic design. They also then worked with their business teachers to figure out a business plan for how that team could succeed if they built kind of a franchise around that particular team. Social media is the final, as we kind of wrap up our time here tonight. So many different, there are just 3 listed there. There's so many different social medias that are, social media sites that are available. YouTube is not listed on here, but one of the ways that I've seen teachers use social media is they've created class YouTube sites. And then they have had the students upload game strategy or game performance videos to their website. And then the teacher used those videos and assessed their students' understanding of the students' knowledge of the concepts. One teacher, she created a I Am Active social marketing campaign to promote physical activity options in their school before, during, or after. And what she did is she was kind of old school. She hung up posters around the school. She had printed some out, posted them around the hallways and in the locker rooms. And she got a couple students on board to help her with this project. And there were simple, encouraging statements about being active and making the healthy choice, promoting different after-school programs that were available, things such as this. And then she challenged the students to post pictures on Twitter or Facebook of themselves participating in those activities or sports with the hashtag #IamActive. And it was a little bit non-traditional, but she was using social media and social marketing to promote healthy behaviors about engaging in physical activity. Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn are also ways that we can be very engaged from a professional standpoint relating to how we or who we interact with to learn more about what's happening in PE, in the world of PE. My Twitter handle is Dr._EMJones28. And it's for those of you who aren't Twitterers, or those of you who are, it's a really cool way to get linked into kind of what is trending, whether it's from an organization that you're somewhat affiliated with, or if it's people who are, I have some kind of interesting technology ones from NASA on here, but like Robert Wood Johnson, or some new ideas about new physical activity programs like Kinball. The PE Geeks handle is a really cool. We showed you a little bit about this before, but it's amazing the different things and different ideas about Sports Day, or let's see if I just scroll down here real quick what some of the findings were. I'm struggling trying to find a fun and engaging locomotor PE lesson for 4th graders. Any ideas? You can join that conversation and see what's going on, different ideas that these particular individuals have come up with, how they're supporting one another, different workshops or webinars that are being promoted through Twitter is kind of a neat function as well. Sometimes they even have meetings where you can kind of, you just tweet in, like Arne Duncan, the Secretary of Education. There are different times across the week where he will just field questions in his Twitter feed. And if you post Arne Duncan's a question to him, he'll respond in Twitter, and you can kind of have some dialogue with individuals who you may not have been able to have dialogue with in the past. So my take-home message is, there's lots of different things we can do. Technologies can fit into, or the take-homes, technologies can fit into multiple different functions of teaching, whether it's assessing student learning, delivering your content, planning, advocating, promoting, networking. So many different cool things that our tools that are available can allow us to do. Really, the point of today was to showcase how these devices have been useful for teachers to enhance what it is they're doing, and how we've talked about TPACK being a primary function. How does technology help to enhance our pedagogy or our content so that the learners can experience PE in meaningful ways? Okay, so moving into our tasks to end on here, we've got readings that have been posted on eCampus. You'll notice that there are a lot this week. Please don't freak out. eCampus this week for your readings, if I'm still in here, we have you have 3 choices, my friends. Within our Unit 3 Technology Integration, you have the option to pick 3 of those 9 readings. Okay, the readings focus on different technologies, from collaborative learning to iPods to cloud technology. Please pick 3 of these to read. Master's, doctoral students, you'll pick 3, and then also just read this single one as well. Your blog response is going to ask you to describe what was happening within that reading. So you'll actually have 3 things to respond to. So what was the instructional problem being addressed? What strategies did they use to solve that problem? What information did they collect, or what could they collect? What conclusions did they draw about the effectiveness of that strategy? And finally, considering what you learned, how could that strategy be used or adopted into your classroom? So each article or each reading is relatively short, so you'll respond to these prompts for each of the readings that you select. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to share with you before we go is that we have a new assignment called Map My Research. And before I show you that, this little arrow here is an outline for when your assignments will be due on campus. So Becoming a PD Geek, which we talked about during week 1, is due on Monday of our time together on campus. Make It an A+ unit is due on the 16th, which is Wednesday, I believe. If things change, I will let you know. And then Map My Research, your final draft is due on Friday. We will do a draft run-through earlier in the week when we are together, however. Okay, so all of the application assignments that you have been working on or started will come due when you are on campus. We get to spend our lovely week together. I will be sending an email with specific details about that. But for Map My Research, Map My Research is really fun. I love it. You can find the assignment on eCampus, but Map My Research is kind of a play on words. Some of you may know the Map My Run app, which says if you're going to get somewhere, you need to know where you're starting and where you want to end. And if you map it out, that means that you can figure out how to get there. So Yogi Berra once said, if you do not know where you are going, you may never get there. In the world of distance running, many people map their runs to ensure routes they choose are safe, the correct distance, and will help them work towards a particular goal. While sometimes it's necessary to deviate from a planned route for different reasons, having the map helps runners know what to expect around the corner, when they're halfway, if they're on pace, and how they could adapt from an unexpected change. In the world of action-based research, it's important to spend time thinking about our situation or problem you're faced with. In this case, how to integrate technology into a unit of instruction, and devise an action plan on how to approach or solve that problem. This assignment will require you to begin thinking about and planning your action research project and consider what route you will take to accomplish your goal. So instead of mapping your run, you are going to map your research. Okay? So the criteria that's listed out here, I want you to start thinking about your unit of instruction. Okay? In your Map My Research project, you're going to create a PowerPoint slide, a Prezi, Powtoons, it doesn't matter to me, Keynote. But you are going to be thinking about, first, you're going to select your unit of instruction. There are some details there that you'll want to read through. It might be your favorite unit. We're going to kind of map out or draft out this, but when it comes down to actually doing this, our 1-credit follow-up course, which is in the spring of 2015, is where you'll actually implement your project. So you'll want to think ahead to your spring curriculum. During the fall, you might need to raise some funds or find the technology, beg, borrow, or steal from your IT director to try to acquire some of those devices that you would need. So in the months of August, September, October, November, December, whatever technologies you said you're going to use, you'll work to acquire those. So in your Map My Research project, you have your unit of instruction identified, and then you'll have certain criteria listed out here. So A through G, 7 sections. You'll have some goals and objectives. What do you want to accomplish during that unit, and how will the technology help you get there? What's the purpose of your project? How does it align with certain state or national standards? Describe your setting and participants. What will be your plan to manage your equipment and your technology? What will be the overview? So how will you actually carry your project out? How are you thinking about using that device to enhance student learning, student understanding, the way that you teach? What will happen? And then what type of information will you collect? So how will you measure or evaluate whether or not students learned that content, or if they learned it better with the device or the tools that you've used? Okay, so those 7 sections will be part of your presentation or your Prezi. And then you'll create a digital presentation, and when you get to campus, you will get feedback on your draft before you turn in your final submission. So we will have a draft brainstorm day where you'll bring your Map My Research draft, and you'll get consultation and feedback from your peers and your instructor. And then you'll have the opportunity to modify and revise and then resubmit your final map before you leave campus, or even after you leave campus. So Your Map My Research project is kind of like the culminating activity here, because what it really does is that it sets you up for the spring or our one credit follow-up, which is pretty cool. And I'm going to share with you when you come on campus some of the projects that were completed by your peers, your third year cohorts. You'll actually see some of them probably sharing the outcomes of their projects, which were really fantastic. So that is the end of our online sessions. I will be sending you an email relating to our on-campus time together. So please stay glued to your email for some really neat, exciting updates. Thank you, and enjoy your evening.